welcome to the Soft Rebellion podcast, a homecoming to the creative power of your female body. Our world uproots us from the gifts of the feminine, the intuitive, the instinctual, the cyclical, the soft. What's the result? Patriarchal cultures of perfectionism, shame, and disconnect that leave us constantly running, never arriving. Imagine a world of women softly rebelling, claiming our cyclicity, our weirdness, and our rest as we each courageously cultivate a deep and delicious relationship to our female bodies. My name is Flurina. I'm an osteopath, dancer, writer, and coach. I've been on my own journey sparked by an eating disorder to come home to the wild, poetic anatomy of my female body and awaken my creative power. And I invite you to join me and my guests, trailblazing teachers, healers, and creatives as we each reclaim our own soft rebellion. Hello everyone and welcome back to a solo episode. I'm just thinking, is that the first or the second solo episode in this year, and it's already March. Yeah, the joy of dropping it all and tasting waves of homecoming. How often do you hide the truth of your female body and neglect her cyclical rhythm and the magic which comes with it? And when was the last time that you completely let go, dropped your bundle, and surrendered to the need to rest, unexpectedly and completely out of blue, because your body was asking for it in that very moment? And when did you last fully surrender to your desires with a big smile in your heart without judging yourself for it? In this episode, I invite you to join me on a long walk along the Ravensbourne River in southeast London. Let's sit together on a bench as I share the story of my recent experience on a day 25 of my menstrual cycle, which unexpectedly transformed into a big day 1 experience. And in that shift, I turned shock and frustration into profound surrender and unveiling golden nuggets of wisdom along the way, which I can't share with you today. And it literally felt like waves of homecoming. And I want you to taste that too, together with me today. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be back with a solo episode. I've missed connecting in a way directly with you, my wonderful Softly Rebellious community. It does need some courage. It needs every solo episode feels a bit big and bold and slightly weird sitting here talking into my computer microphone, but I feel you as I record. And on that breath, I really can't wait to hear your takeaways as always from this short episode, and to hear where you are on your soft rebellion journey and how she's showing up in your life. And I say that little thing now instead of in the end. I've been moving and thinking and reflecting upon solo episodes, and I have this very immediate curiosity about which solo episodes so far, because I've thrown various spaghettis onto the wall and to see which ones will stick. And actually one which really sticked was, I believe, the one about the wildly poetic anatomy of your heart. And I'd love to hear from you if you are a listener who listens to those solo episodes regularly, or if not, then go and do it. And do send me an email. I would so love to hear from you which ones resonated the most, or which ones you feel, wow, there I can really taste Flurina. That's where I got most out from it. That would be you can't imagine what a huge help that would be. And as a return, you'll get a lovely long email back from me. I love writing long letters. Yeah, my email is softrebellion@flurinathali.com. Good. So, yeah, why am I recording this episode today? Why this topic? Why? Because this podcast, the Soft Rebellion Journey, is about homecoming to the hunger of the female body, is about claiming our rest, claiming our bloody cyclicity. And that often throws up the question, yeah, but how? And what does that actually mean? What does it mean to claim the hunger of my female body? I often talk about the menstrual cycle, and I have guests which somehow have something to do or work with the menstrual cycle in one way or another. And I might ask yourself, why? And this episode is exactly the answer, why? And this is why I will never stop talking about the menstrual cycle, and why I invite you to never stop and leaning into your menstrual cycle. So this is a further contribution to our common collective expansion about the meaning of the soft rebellion and how we can unlock her on a daily basis. And what I share with you today was just such a glorious experience, and I just want you to know about it so that you can invite this glory into your life too. You might have a cycle and be in your reproductive and bleeding years at the moment. You might listen and actually be going through perimenopause at the moment, or be menopausal. You might, due to physical or mental health reasons, not have a cycle at the moment. Maybe you are bleeding in this moment and struggling to rest or joyfully rest as you listen to this episode. Maybe you are on a bleed right now and you're actually on cloud 77, as my mom always said. Your menstrual journey, your menstruality might be kind of a far away concept or something you really nurture. And equally, menstrual cycle awareness, a term which I very often use, which is from the lineage of Red School, might be a term very new to you, or you might be very familiar to menstrual cycle awareness. And I also want to acknowledge that your bleeds might be related more to pain and trauma, and maybe you are experiencing a condition which causes you to have very heavy and painful bleeds, and so that this is more a challenge than a joy in anything else. You might be trying to conceive at the moment, and bleeding, or hear me talking about the bleed, triggers grief and a sense of failure or not being good enoughness or whatever that brings up for you. And wherever you are coming from today, I really honor you taking the time to listen, and I'm just so glad, honored and touched that you are here. So much love to you right now. Really, it's so wonderful to know that we are growing a community of the soft rebellion, for all of us to step into our weird, wonderful and unique selves. Yeah, so last Wednesday, wow, exactly a week ago, I woke up and I found myself on day 25 of my menstrual cycle. My cycle usually is very regular and kind of long, or very normal in inverted commas. I bleed for 29 days, and on day 30 is my day 1. This last cycle, it was actually quite lovely and joyful, because my sister happened to be on the same, we were synced, completely synced. So we kind of texted each other. My sister lives in Switzerland with her daughter on a wonderful farm, and she's my best friend and soul sister, so we are very close. Also, anything to do with menstruality, which is a huge gift. So we were synced, and we were texting each other every day. Remember, day blah blah, day this, I'm doing that, day da 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 da. So that last Wednesday morning, my sister texted me and said, wow, a little bit unexpected, but I started bleeding. I started bleeding on day 25. And I was sitting in a coffee shop at that time, working on a wildly poetic text. I was in the flow. I was thinking, I thought autumn, I'm in the depth of my autumn. I'm gonna edit all these pages. I'm gonna get stuff done in the next 3 days. That's what I thought I would be doing. And she texted me saying, I start to bleed. And I answered, oh wow, I hold you, etc. And I said, wow, do you always have quite a short cycle? Yeah, do you always have quite a short cycle? I'm probably not going to bleed until another week. And I kept on with my things. And I noticed that it was, as the day went on, I felt very itchy towards my partner. I just wanted to leave in a way. I just wanted to leave. But I struggled to really say yes to that message because somehow I was so stuck in my head where I am in my cycle, where I will be and what will happen. And I've worked a lot with my inner autumns, and I arrived in a very good place with my premenstrual energy and with rage and anger in that phase. So the day went on, and it was 4 p.m. and I went to toilet, and there it was, the blood. I started bleeding. And in that very moment, I feel how I felt in that moment. I've never felt so, almost as if suddenly that person you've been so expecting, but in a month's time, rings your doorbell and is there. I felt, and maybe I have to open brackets, I love my bleed. I cherish my bleed. And I always want, like the most important guest, I want to prepare my house and be ready and have food and made her bed. And I would feel so bad if my sister would come and just nothing is ready and I'm in a rush and sweaty. And that's how I feel towards my bleed. And there, she knocked the door. She stepped a foot into my flat. And I felt so unprepared that I almost felt a sense of, I felt frustrated in the first moment. I felt not shame, but I felt a pain and sadness that I wasn't able, that I wouldn't even have welcomed her earlier in the day because I knew today is the day. I felt frustrated that I wasn't more sensitive and listening and noticed when my master's interception that my bleed would come. So a whole shitstorm of feelings and thoughts and blah rushed over me. And what happened then? And I felt that my bleed came, and I felt that huge call to the temple, to my inner temple, right? Our bleed, that calls us to surrender into our inner temple. We can't, as I've learned from Red School, we can't meet these incredible gifts. It's a different vibration. It's a different mind. It's something very mystic and deeply profound we can meet during our bleed, but we can't meet that part of us if we stay in our ordinary daily life rhythm and doing. We have to drop that. We have to surrender. And I felt that call, and in that first moment, I thought, no, but impossibly. I have this whole to-do list, and I have all those meetings, and I actually want to go to that concert tonight. And there were so many things. My list was so full. And in the past, I guess I'm not too bad in resting, but actually to just, unless I plan for a big bleed, I actually find it very hard to just walk away from the computer, to literally, it needs so much courage. It needs courage to plan for a big bleed, but then you've planned for it and you don't just walk away. But if the bleed comes unexpected, and in that moment, goodness me, I so much feel all of you who have an irregular cycle just every month. It needs so much courage to just walk away and tell to that inner critique who is saying, oh, you're going to lose this and that and disappoint, to tell her, I hear you and I meet you again after my bleed. So I had a real hour of literally walking up and down in our flat, thinking, goodness me, how do I navigate that? How do I guess I could just drop it all, or right now I just keep working this time and I'll do it next time, blah, blah. But because I haven't shared yet in my podcast, because at the moment I'm actually doing the menstruality leadership program from Red School, MLP, the MLP training, which is a wonderful training about feminine leadership and menstrual leadership. And at the moment, this really recommitted my whole being to this practice, that I knew there is no other way. I'm gonna drop my bundle. And I literally just folded my laptop and walked away from my computer. Something I've never done in my whole life. And in that moment, I felt, or I thought, oh, I have to share that with my community. This is the soft rebellion. She who walks away from her computer when her body is calling her to the inner temple. And in that moment, I think, we women, we experience that call very strongly when we bleed, but there are other calls, other moments in a month in our life when we are called from the depth of our body to step away and to attend to our inner temple. And right now, that's my first invitation for you, to start to tease out, notice, feel here, when your body calls you to step away, to turn your back towards whatever you are trying to suss out with your mind in that moment. That power of stepping away, of turning your back towards whatever you are doing in that moment and walk away. It needs courage and it feels so good. I can still feel how good it felt. And that is the soft rebellion, because we did not grow. We don't live in a world where we are encouraged to walk away when bloody hell our body's asking for it. So I walked away. It was 5 p.m. by that time. And I said to my wonderful partner, you go, you listen to the music. In that, suddenly I thought, wow, it's actually all divine. He is out of the house. He is meant to go to that concert so that I'm meant to have the flat for myself. You see, actually, I planned pretty well for that whole bleed. I've also then noticed, how divine. I don't have to go to clinic the next morning. I don't have to work. I work from home. So I can actually just take a whole day off. So long story short, he went and I just surrendered on that evening. I think I had a bath. I love to do yoga nidra in these moments. And I went to bed really early. And the next morning I woke up and I almost fell back into the trap and thinking, but I can do a little bit of work. I can do an hour, or I can answer just these mails, or them. And I thought, no, I can't. I stay and that moment, I was literally in that flow of surrender. I could feel how I in a in this stream which is taking me somewhere. So if I would now write an email or something, I would be taken out of that stream, and I stayed. It was a gorgeous day, like today, but like today. And I did something which I've never done on a bleed. I got dressed, I put on my shoes, and I decided to go for a river walk, for a long, slow river walk. And that's what I did. I went to the river, Ravensbourne River, and I invite you, close your eyes, walk with me. I was dressed very warmly. It was warm and it was dressed warmly, and I felt cocooned in. I felt like I had my red jacket on. I felt very safe. I was walking towards the sun in my face, and I was walking so slowly that I literally felt every bone of my feet surrendering, melting, yielding into the uneven grounds. And whenever I felt an urge to, now I need to get going and get somewhere, I slowed back and leaned into my back as I walked. And as I walked, as I walked further along the path, and I walked into, and this is where we enter the ungraspable territory. I entered into a different world. I can't describe to you. I entered a different world. It felt, and I almost started to cry. I literally felt waves. I felt as if I was walking into waves of love, and waves of love were gently washing over me. My daily life felt so far away at that time, in that moment. I felt so safe, and I felt, goodness me, this is such a rejuvenating place. Why? For so many bleeds have I kept working whilst I bleed. And I walked, and I just sat down on that bench, fully in the sun, where I could hear the sound of the river. And I just sat down. And as I sat down, completely in a different world, when I bleed, I talk to my blood. I talk to her. I talk to my blood. I talk to her. And as I sat down and started talking to my blood, hearing her voice, it was as if my blood was flowing out of me and becoming this wonderful, huge angel, red angel with huge red wings. And she had that voice, a voice I've never heard. And she invited me, she said with that most loving voice, "It's okay, Flurina, it's okay. It's okay to fully drop your bundle." This is original term again. I must honor Red School from Alexandra and Shani, but she said these. Maybe it was the same angel who whispered these words to Shani or Alexandra back one day, who talked to me. And she said, "It's okay." That's just what she said. "It's okay. Drop your bundle. It's okay not to know how and what's going to happen. And It's okay to leave it all behind and just drop your bundle." And as she said that, it felt as if layers dropped away. I dropped into an essence, I want to say, again, so great love, waves of loves. It felt as if layers fell away from my body, as if tissues, muscle, tensions just dropped away, and there I was, the essence of myself. That sounds odd as I say it, and beautiful at the same time. It felt as if I dropped into myself, it felt as if I met the embryo within me. That's when I was an embryo. I was a fluid being of pure unfolding flow, motion, yes, and love. I was, I can only do a gesture. And my blood bled so much away, and I surrendered, dropped my work so my blood could take me deeper and met that embryo. And I share that with you because in that moment, that hour I sat on that bench, I rejuvenated. I got filled with so much energy. And now I really have to cry. I got filled with so much energy, which I know, goodness me, that's gonna nurture me the whole month. And I'm gonna kind of stop the experience there, but I'm now on day 8 as I record this, and I'm in my early spring, and wow, I've had insights and visions, and I step in such a healthy way into that inner spring, rejuvenated, grounded. I fully reconnected with myself to now step into that next cycle. I'm now briefly to think back, the title was The Joy of Dropping It All and Tasting Waves of Homecoming. I knew I had to, in that moment when I was sitting there and all that happened, what I said, I thought, wow, goodness me, that's how homecoming tastes like. And I just so wish, and I invite you to taste homecoming, true homecoming too, and maybe you will in your next bleed. And yeah, so what's the learning, the universal learning teaching? This experience that I just shared, this is what happens when we no longer stop or hide the truth of our female bodies. Namely, that we are cyclical beings, and there is a moment in a month where we are invited to step away, to bloody hell, just walk away and follow that call to our inner temple. And this joy and all the bliss, this is what happens when we do that. This means to me claiming my cyclicity. And cyclicity really means and entails these greatest powers, mystics. As I said, it brings us into a different realm, a different energetic levels. It takes us away from the ordinary. And as I said again, we need to drop our thinking, planning mind. We need to leave that part of us behind and surrender into the unknown. And all of that is the soft rebellion. The soft rebellion is she who no longer hides the truth about her female body, namely that she's a cyclical, mystic being. And cyclicity therefore means to meet those voices and creatures which are born out of our cycle, our bloods. And yeah, again, I very much felt that in that transition into the bleed, I think that is where the power of the soft rebellion is so alive, and where we can really meet her, taste her, and feel her power and courage. That big red angel, she really encouraged that ongoing soft rebellion in me. And I have two kind of, I guess one invitation for you is to plan a big bleed. I recorded a whole podcast episode about big bleeds, so you can go back to that one if that's actually quite a new term for you. Or next time you bleed, maybe just think about the 1%. What is the 1% I could do less and surrender more? And it's interesting, later on that same day when I had this blissful experience, I actually did fall into a trap, and I suddenly thought in the evening, oh, let's put that laundry on. Oh, partner isn't back home yet. Let's cook for him. And I did it, and I got suddenly for a moment so grumpy, and I noticed that was too much. Actually, on the first day of my bleed, at least on the first day, I have no capacity to cook a whole meal and to think about laundry. And the next time I went to the shops, I got 2 big frozen pizzas, and I've put a post-it onto it which says day 1 pizza. Just to, that is, you see, maybe next time that's the only 1% I can do, but that's another possible homework for you or impulse. What is the 1%? Maybe you just prepare the meal. And another go on from here is read the book Wild Power and check out Red School if you haven't checked out or don't know this resource yet. Yeah. That's all from me today, and yeah. Actually, maybe today, whilst you, on whatever day you listen, that episode, because the soft rebellion is her who dares to walk away and step away when her body just tells her to. And maybe all practice and grow that strength in us together, alone and as a community. And maybe for the rest of the day, today or tomorrow, that's what you're going to take from this episode. To tease out that one moment and then really harvest the power it gives you when you do it. Of course, do it with great love, a blaze from out of love. Yeah, my dears, I would love to hear from you, and would love to hear how this lands and what your takeaways are. And you can make a comment on whatever platform you're listening from. That's always amazing to read from you. Really, really meaningful. Or send me an email through softrebellion@flurinathali.com. And I also want to invite you to sign up to my newsletter, which you can do on my webpage, flurinathali.com, as I'm in a transition to shift or to create a Substack account, where I will really share lots of wonderful writing and voice notes with you. And I'd love to have you on that journey. And if you sign up to my newsletter now, then I will link you to that automatically and let you know when that's all happening. Okie dokes. I send you so much love. Go and be your unique, weird, and wonderful self. And I see you soon and next time.